Countdown to Tip-Off, presented by IHTN1. Welcome to the studio. Homecoming edition of Countdown to Tip-Off, presented by IHTN1. I'm Grant Moranis, alongside our panel of experts, Rob Young, Tony Harris, and the Doc. Today's matchup between the Indian Hill Braves and Taylor Yellow Jackets. Guys, what do you guys have on tonight's matchup?
Well, first of all, Grant, this is Indian Hill's homecoming weekend. Students are hyped, the teachers are excited, and more than anything else, Indian Hill sports an undefeated record, 8-0 going into this game, and really flying high with their team intact.
We can bring up the league standings. Shows that Indian Hill indeed on top with that 8-0 league record, 14-1 overall. Taylor, not so hot in the league, just sitting at 2-6.
Yeah, Taylor has a terrific player that we'll be hearing a lot about tonight and watching in Mark Bergen. He's a beast, and he's a very interesting story. He played at Euler High School last year, and he was 6'1" when the season started. He was 6'2" at the end of the year. He was 6'3" when he transferred to Taylor, and now he's 6'4". By the end of the game, he may be 6'5", but he has great leaping ability. He's about 6'4", as I say. He's about 195 pounds, strong, goes to the rim hard. He's a magnificent rebounder, and the Braves are going to have their hands full with him. They're going to need Dawson Eichholz to put on another stellar performance defensively, but he's going to need a lot of help. And his brother Reed's going to have to help, and Colin Shaw and Nick Heidel, and they're going to need a lot of George Davis and Jake Fry. It's going to be a team effort to slow this kid down, because he is, if not the best player in the league, he's certainly one of the best 2 or 3, and it's going to take a team effort to control him.
He leads the league in scoring. He's third in the league in rebounding, and this will be a different Taylor team than Indian Hill saw the last time we played him at Taylor, because Mark did not play. So Indian Hill is going to have to control those boards tonight against him, because he alone can control the boards for Taylor.
Well, one of the things, Grant, that we've seen with Indian Hill this year is we've seen different players step up. Obviously, we have the 2 brothers playing, but in each game, we've had obviously some highlights with Nick Heidel, we've had Colin Shaw, but we've seen the Fioris, we've seen the Eichholz, we've seen some real big players step up. We've seen Brad Lewis hit the game-winning shot. So there's a balanced attack. It's not just one star, and I think that Indian Hill does have a fair amount of a bench to go to as opposed to Taylor. That may be a big difference if they can get off to a good start.
Absolutely. George Davis also coming off that bench, a big factor. You guys mentioned Colin Shaw. We'll take a look at some of Shaw's highlights real quick. Here is Colin Shaw. You see his offensive abilities to create shots for himself.
Well, Colin's a terrific player. He is Indian Hill's Mr. Do-Everything. He's the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. He's a terrific rebounder. He's a great scorer. He plays great defense. He's very, very heady. Colin's a terrific all-around player. It's hard to believe he's only a sophomore, because he certainly plays like a senior.
Absolutely. 6'2" sophomore and second in scoring in the CHL behind, as you said, Mark Bergen.
You know, when you look at the Braves, you talked about the brothers. We've got the Eichholz twins, you got the Fiore brothers, you got Shaw, you got Heidel. So I call them the law firm, because you got the Eichholz, Fiore, Shaw law firm when Heidel wasn't playing earlier in the season. But Heidel brings a new dimension to this team every night. When he's hot at the 3, that'll be a key for Taylor. They've got to take Heidel out of the 3-point. They've got to take one of the Fiores out of the 3-point. They've got to force Colin Shaw to dish the ball off, because when that ball's in Shaw's hand, we are a deadly team.
Absolutely.
But the best thing about Nick is Nick does so many things for this team. He's really, there's so many heroes on this team, as Rob mentioned earlier. But Nick is second in the team in scoring, but he leads the team by a large margin in rebounding. He also leads the team in assist-to-turnover ratio. He plays terrific defense, and Nick just does everything very, very well. And he's a senior, and people expect him to do that well, but it should be acknowledged. He's a terrific ball player, and hopefully he's going to end these last several games of his senior year on a very high note.
Absolutely. Another guy for the Braves that we need to keep an eye on is Dawson Eichholz, matching up with Bergen. 6'1" junior guards the best player. We saw him against Madeira, and Jack Kravac completely shut him down.
And against Amelia, he guarded a kid who was 6'7" and made the kid cry. So Dawson has a way of doing that with a lot of people.
And one of the things that we see with Indian Hill, there are no boring games. Indian Hill finds a way to make it exciting, very streaky. And what we'll find almost invariably is when they hit a streak, Dawson Eichholz is in the middle of that. He sparks a lot of energy defensively, offensively, and I think that they really play off of that energy as well.
Absolutely. No, Dawson is terrific, and he doesn't score a lot, but he is the epicenter of every game they play because I had the blessing of coaching him when he was younger, and he always came up to me during practice and would ask, "Who's the best player on the other team? Do we know any of his tendencies? And may I guard him?" And most of the guys don't want to guard the best player on the team because it takes away from their scoring opportunities. Dawson just wants to play defense. He lives for defense, and it's refreshing. And part of the reason this team is 14-1 is because of Dawson's efforts, and it gives Nick Heidel and it gives Colin Shaw and some of the other guys the opportunity to invest more time in their offense because Dawson's got the defense covered, and then they can worry about the rest of the game.
Coach Birch always says if we can hold a team to under 40 points, we'll win the game. And that's it. This is a defensive strong team. Heidel's leading the team in rebounding. He's second in the team in scoring, but right behind him in rebounding is Dawson Eichholz. So Dawson is that unsung hero, like Tony said. His brother Reed brings the weight and the enforcer of the team, and at times has gotten into some foul trouble early. But he plays with 100% intensity. His shooting's coming around. He's been out of his rap now for about 4 games. And so I think we can see him do some big things for the team tonight that he didn't do the first time we played Taylor.
Another thing tonight that I'd really like to see, in order for this team to go far in the tournament, as well as developing some of the bench depth that we hope to see, is Matteo Fiore has been in a slump for the last several games, and Matteo is an outstanding offensive player, and he's really, really struggling with his outside shot. And I think there's going to be a lot of focus tonight on Taylor's part on Heidel and also on Shaw, and I think Matteo's going to get some open looks, and hopefully if he knocks 1 or 2 of them down, I've seen Matteo, when he gets on a roll, watch out. And it could be a month where he's not going to miss, and I hope and pray that happens for him. He's a terrific kid and a real talent. And I know against Marymount the other night he had a few layups, which is nice. But once his outside shot's going, it just really picks it up because then the Braves really have a 3-pronged approach from the outside. And one other thing, not to take over this here with you, but Nick Heidel quietly has set the Indian Hill all-time 3-point record. And nobody has acknowledged that yet, but Nick has 118 threes in his career, and the all-time record was 100. And obviously there's several games to go. Hopefully in the state tournament it'll go further, and hopefully Nick will push 200. But Nick's done a terrific job, and I just wanted to throw him some love there.
Tonight is also the Hall of Fame game. We have 3 inductees from Indian Hill tonight. I think.
Well, we've got Cliff Hearn, former coach, teacher, athlete. We have Haley Warden, and we also have Margaret Fish. So congratulations to all 3 of them and their families, and thanks to all of those who are helping to honor them tonight.
Do we think anybody on this Indian Hill squad has potential to one day enshrine their name in the Indian Hill Hall of Fame?
Well, if Colin Shaw stays healthy, I don't see how he can't be. He's going to own every record that Indian Hill's had. He's a terrific player. He's a great kid, and somebody that everybody respects and admires. And he's a 3-sport star at Indian Hill. Colin, again, hopefully stays healthy and continues to play as well as he does. And I know he works his tail off, and he lives sports. I think Colin would be a lock, and there are probably several others that'll merit consideration as well, at least in my opinion.
I mean, when you go beyond basketball and you look at the other sports, that's the great part about Indian Hill, being in a small conference like this. Taylor's the same way. Most of these kids are playing at least 2 sports, some playing 3. But you got to think Nick Heidel is a shoo-in. Records of 3-pointers, but everybody forgets that Nick Heidel is one of the leading all-time scorers in football for Indian Hill. Many times he not only caught the touchdown pass, came back in and kicked off did the point after kick. He'd come in and do the kickoff, get a fumble recovery on defense, and run it back for a touchdown. So Nick Heidel's got to be, another shoe-in. This team is loaded, and they're young. This is a team that's young. They're maturing. That's a big difference from last year. They were a young team with not a lot of senior leadership. Nick Heidel's the only real starter on the senior ranks, but he's been a great, quiet leader for this team. And these guys have got to take it one game at a time, and that's what Coach Birch is always preaching to them. And the amazing thing is, for years, the Wyoming Indian Hill game has always been the deciding factor for the CHL championship, and it's always been the last game. This year, for whatever reason, that game got pushed earlier in the season, and Mother Nature steps in and creates the excitement in the season. And looking forward, it's going to probably come down to Indian Hill and Wyoming, because Wyoming's only losses to us, looking at their future, the future games that they have. But the good news for Indian Hill is, if we look at our record, we can actually go through and be undefeated in the league when the seeding happens for the state tournament, and the Wyoming game is not going to be in a consideration for our seeding. So right now, Indian Hill's ranked second in the region in the state, behind Aiken. Also in the top 10 for the CHL is Madeira at 10 and Wyoming at 4th. So the CHL is going to be well represented in the state tournament this year.
Let's take a look real quick at our keys to victory for tonight's matchup. Indian Hill, Taylor. For Indian Hill, Doc, what do you got?
Well, obviously, as we've been talking tonight, the key is Mark Burgeon. He's their lead scorer, he's their energy, and he does everything for them. We've talked before about who's going to defend. We will see a lot of help defense. We won't be surprised to see both Eichel's brothers playing him hard and being very physical, trying to slow him down, frustrating Burgeon early.
Also have to limit the turnovers and crash the boards. As you guys mentioned before, on the Taylor side of it, they got to defend the three-point arc.
Yeah, Taylor really has only one guy who's a three-pointer, a kid named David Pittman, who's a senior, 5'9" guard, and he's strictly a three-point shooter. 90% of his shots this year have been from the three-point range. He won't dribble drive. It's strictly three-point shooting, and I'm sure one of the Fiore boys will have him. They'll probably switch off, but you don't have to worry. You can get right up against him. You can kind of, see what kind of toothpaste he brushed with today, because he's not going to drive by you. He does not want to go in the paint, and you just stay right on him and don't give him an open shot. And he's their only legitimate three-point shot threat. Taking
all this into consideration, predictions for tonight?
Well, it's homecoming. I'll start off. So congrats to all the Indian Hill students this weekend with homecoming. I think it's going to be an Indian Hill victory. I'm calling 58-40. Indian Hill takes the Yellow Jackets.
Well, I agree with you. I think 40 is the goal for Tim. Say every game is to keep a team under 40. Let's hope that we can keep Mark Burgeon under 40, but I think 40 would be a great number to keep Taylor to, and I believe we'll score 65.
And it goes 71-41.
Indian Hill won't be able to keep Taylor under 40.
I'm going to say Burgeon's going to have a game, but that it'll be right there at that magic mark that Birch likes, and we're going to have a 30-point spread.
Well, I'll continue the trend. I'll take the Braves in this one. We will see you tonight, 7:30 tip-off. Indian Hill, Taylor, streaming live on the YouTube channel IHTN1. We'll see you tonight. That's it for us on Countdown to Tip-Off, presented by IHTN1. Countdown to Tip-Off, presented by IHTN1.